A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 21st May 2020. Day is Thursday. Let's start our discussion with this quote by Mark Twain. The best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer somebody else up. When you make someone else happy, directly, indirectly, that act, that smile on someone's face, that happiness in someone's life will make you happy as well. Think about it. With this difference, StudyIQ has launched a smart course. Now, this smart course is designed by some of the best faculties of our country. They have designed this course keeping in mind the necessity, the requirement of IAS pre as well as mains examination. And to find out more about our smart course, all you have to do is download our mobile application on your phone. I have already shared the PDF of today's lecture on my Telegram channel. You can get in touch with me via FB. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Dear friends, today we have 3-4 articles. They are about health system. All articles, total 6 articles that we are going to go through. All of them are from the Hindu newspaper. We have one article on self-reliance in matters of defense. One is about geopolitics in China. Then we have working safely, a hole in the hole. How public health boosts an economy, backing the angels in white coats. This one is about healthcare, this one is about healthcare, and this one too is about healthcare. So let's quickly crack on, dear friends. We have many important points to go through today, so I'm going to be a little bit quick here, right? Most of the things I'm sure it's going to be easy for you to understand, particularly the regular students. You won't find things that difficult, but there are important points, right, that we have to discuss today. So as we all know that COVID-19 pandemic is not over yet because we don't have any vaccine or cure for this thing. So we have to live with this thing. We are in a catch-22 situation, right? If we step out for our livelihood, then we are going to, I'm not saying all of us, but we are going to see a surge in number of cases. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I personally observed this thing, though I have not been out, but I was going through some news channels, some local news channels as well as national news channels, and I observed this thing that people are gathering in big crowds, like in markets, vegetable markets and other markets. It looks like there is a big carnival going on, some sort of festival going on. People in thousands are coming out, though they are wearing a mask. Though I don't know if I would be there, right, for whatever reason. If I see a market full of people this time around, I will go back home. I will not step in that market. I'm sure many of us will do the same thing. But I don't understand why people are, even after seeing that this many people are already out there in the market, people are not, not refraining themselves. They are entering this market, and I think we are going to see a big jump in numbers of COVID-19 cases, and this is a very unfortunate thing, but I think this is going to be a reality. Now we have crossed, I'm sorry, now we have crossed all our limits. We cannot afford to have more lockdowns. We cannot have this big lockdown anymore. So we have to live with this thing. So the most important thing is health and safety. And behavioral change is going to be the biggest thing, right? It is going to be the most important tool. The reason why we see this many people is still because their behavior is not changed. And when I say behavior not changed, to an extent, right, you will see people wearing masks and things. Okay, that's acceptable. But then as well, gathering in this big numbers is very dangerous thing. So we have to follow the guidelines of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. As you can see here, easy things, right? To wash your hands. Make sure if you are, interacting with someone, then at least keep a 1 meter's distance or more than that if it's possible. Don't touch your nose, eyes, mouth. Make sure you wash your hands before touching it. If you don't have access to soap and water, then use sanitizers. Please make sure that you throw all your tissues, used tissues and other things, in a designated dustbin. Cover your nose and mouth, of course, sneezing and coughing etiquettes. Most important. And the most important thing is avoid mass gathering and crowded places. So these are the things, that we all have to follow. This is a behavior that we have to inculcate. The government is also heavily promoting Arogya Setu app. Now, I'm not sure how much this Arogya Setu app is going to be helpful, but I think we should go with the flow. When I say go with the flow, I mean to say that even if it helps 1%, 2%, 3% people, then as well we need to do it, right? If there is not going to be any harm in downloading one application. Government has already said that privacy and other things will be looked after, and after this whole chapter is over, then the data will be deleted. So as far as safety and things are concerned, government has already issued its statement on Arogya Setu app. So if possible, every one of us should, if particularly those people who have to go to office or workplaces or somewhere out where you have to interact with people, then best is to use Arogya Setu app. Government has also raised the ceiling for this legally permitted ceiling for staff attendance is now extended to 50%, which is not bad. And I think many people will work from home. More and more people will work from home, particularly in big companies. Not just big companies, in small companies as well. Like, for example, I have few examples, like TCS. If I'm not wrong, TCS has a Tata Consultancy Services. They have, decided that 95% of their staff will work from home. I think 95%, but definitely somewhere around 90%. They have said that they are going to work from home. So this is going to be a big change that will be visible. And the most important thing is, if we don't behave, right, if we don't change our behavior, if we still keep on gathering in big crowds, then we are going to see some more lockdowns. And these lockdowns are going to be more painful in terms of economy. Moving on to next item, a hole in the hole. Now this one, the lockdown, this one is talking about healthcare system. There are many points that are interrelated, or there are many points that are repeating in next this one and next 2 or 3 articles that we are going to talk. So I'm going to be very brief here. I will just jump on to the core of this whole thing. Now we know that COVID-19 is a big thing, right? So many things about COVID-19, and one thing that is very unfortunate in our country is that we have invested, we have diversified all our energy from last 2 months. Everything that we have invested in COVID-19 or behind COVID-19, and this has created big challenges, big problems for other services, for other health-related services that are required by thousands or lakhs of patients, right? Someone suffering from tuberculosis, someone suffering from HIV, someone suffering from tuberculosis, HIV, etc. They are not getting their medications or medicines on time, life-saving drugs. They are not able to get it on time. Then immunization program not running smoothly. Institutional deliveries as well. We can see big problems there. And, this whole migrant crisis, it's very unfortunate that so many poor ladies, they were, their deliveries took place on the roadside. So unfortunate thing. So this is because we don't have that robust system, right? What we did is as I told you, we invested all our energy, or diverted our energy towards COVID-19. As conditional movement has been allowed, people traveling across states bring positive cases to states or districts that have remained case-free for a while now. And this is going to be, that's what I said, isn't it, in the earlier discussion, that we are going to see more number of cases in those green zones as well. Those areas that were that were having no cases of COVID-19, now we are going to see a big surge or maybe new cases, because this movement is allowed now. People will travel from one district to another district. People will travel from big city to remote areas. So I think this is, I don't know why, right, but I think this is not that right decision by various different states. People traveling from big cities, like I'll give you example of Gujarat. People traveling from big cities right now, they are entering into various different villages, and a few, like Jamnagar was a place that was in green zone, but now Jamnagar has got 34, 35 something cases like that. It was green till now, right? No cases. And the movement started, and Jamnagar is somewhere around 30, 35 cases, 35 plus or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but it was somewhere around 30 plus. So This is a matter of concern. We have to live with it now. But the number of cases going up, we have already crossed 1 lakh, isn't it? And we don't have that much medical facility. And the problem is, if we look after COVID-19 alone, then other patients suffer. If you provide things to other patients, then you don't have anything for COVID-19. So it's a big dilemma in which our whole healthcare system is. If life after COVID-19 is not to be worse than life before the pandemic, the governments need to ensure that country's multi-layered health system is not sacrificed at the altar of one virus. They need to give it their whole attention now. What we need now is we need a robust system, and we are going to talk about it in this article here. Government has already declared a 20 lakh crore package, as you know, and many governors and many experts are not happy with this package. They are saying that this package is not going to create that big impact. It is, as far as this government's claim that it is somewhere around 10% of GDP, experts are saying that this is just somewhere around 1 to 2% of GDP. Rest of the things are like guarantees and other things. Now, it all depends. If MSMEs, if they take loan, then you have this government guarantee. If they don't take loan, if they don't see any business coming in, if they feel that even if they produce some things, people are not going to buy it, then they are not going to take loan. So it's not a direct money giving package. It's not like government is injecting 20 lakh crore rupees in the market, right? It's basically a mixed thing. You have a small chunk of money coming in, and the rest of the things are like loans and other things. Anyway, so the government has done a good thing. The good thing is that health and wellness centers will be developed. They will be strengthened. Then the government will establish infectious diseases hospital blocks in all district, expansion of laboratory network, and One Health research on zoonotic diseases under the Indian Council of Medical Research. These are the things that we are going to start now. Now, dire predictions for the post-COVID-19 global economy have come from the International Monetary Fund. IMF has said that this COVID-19-led economic trouble is going to be more severe than so far. The biggest, or you can say the most severe crisis that we have ever seen, humanity has ever seen, was this Great Depression. Can you give me the year in which this Great Depression took place? Stick your answer in the comment section. So this COVID-19 led economic issue is going to be more deeper, more wider than Great Depression. So things are going to be very tough for us. And when I say tough, I mean to say that on one side you have limited money, new money is not generating, new revenue is not coming in because of this depression type of situation. On the other side, cases are going up, so you have to spend money as well. And this article is also suggesting the same thing, right? That we cannot just invest, or we cannot just keep all our eggs in one basket. We cannot just diversify our whole energy after COVID-19. What we need to do is we need to have a well-balanced health system, something that we can learn from southern states, particularly Kerala. Now, the reason why, as we have discussed this thing early on as well, but I'm going to be very brief here. The reason why Kerala has been this successful is because Kerala has laid bricks one by one, right? From a very long period of time. It has invested after health and various other things like creating doctors and nurses and training and other things. So all these things together, their efforts of last decades or 2 decades or 3 decades, this thing is producing its fruits now. Like earlier on, when Kerala was struck by this Nipah, Kerala handled it very well without any help from central government. This COVID-19 as well, it has handled very well without, I'm not saying without any help from center, but with minimum help from central government, because it created this base. When you have a very strong base, when you have a well-balanced health system, when you have primary, secondary, tertiary care, where your people are more aware about health issues, when it is part of your culture, then it becomes much easier. The problem with our system is that we think about health only when we are in trouble, when we are not well. At that point of time as well, beg your pardon, when we are not well, only at that point of time we think about health, right? Rest of the time we take health for granted. I think things are quite different in Japan. I was having a discussion a few years ago with one of a doctor, and that doctor, he's a very senior citizen. He has been to Japan like 6-7 times, and he was telling me that things are very different in Japan. Like in Japan, the government hospitals or government doctors, right, they are allotted areas. So you have, let's say, one doctor will be given this area where you have like 10,000 people living in that area. So let's say your salary is 1 lakh rupees, right? A doctor's salary 1 lakh rupees in Japan. Just this is rough example for you to understand. So you will get your full 1 lakh rupees if no one is ill in the month of, let's say, May. If no one is ill in June, out of this 10,000 people, then you will get full salary. If more and more people are not feeling healthy, if they are having troubles and things, then your salary will go down. So doctors will work proactively. Doctors and their teams, they visit people, they talk with them. So it's more about being proactive, taking steps. Thinking about safety rather than after injury you are curing things. So this is something that we need in our country also, right? We need to pre-plan things. Further, a selective investment in some components of infectious disease control will not meet the many other essential demands on the health system. If we just focus on COVID-19 alone, you never know, in future we may have some other diseases. At that point of time, this COVID-19 response or this investment will not be helpful. So for us, the best thing is we have to have a well-balanced, deep and wide health system. For that, we need resources. Resources are not just about physical resources, not just masks and PPEs and medicines and other things or medical equipment. What we need is, first of all, I think, human resources, right? If India can provide doctors and nurses to the world, then why can't we have enough doctors and nurses in our country? Because we are not giving them that proper earning environment, right? When I say earning environment, I'm talking about government hospitals, right? Too much workload. And this is the main reason, like most of the doctors and nurses, they don't like to work in this government hospitals because too much work, right? And very little money. In private care, you know it very well that they can make crores and crores in few years. So if we can work out something, if they can make the same amount of money based on their performance, if we can add incentives and other things, right? If we can make it a sort of overall combo package for them, then I think we can attract best talent. At the same time, we have to create more medical hospitals. Medical education should be cheaper. It is very expensive now, right? It's not affordable. And skilling people, employment, right? These are the things that we need. At the same time, we should create ourselves, you should prepare ourselves for health emergencies, delivering universal health coverage, at the same time achieving sustainable development goals. This is possible when you will allot more money in the hands of the state governments. 15th Finance Commission can do this thing. 15th Finance Commission is going to submit its final recommendation. So this recommendation should have extra money, extra support for state governments. And once you give the money to state governments, once you have these medical colleges and other setup, then we will see, step by step, we will see results, positive results. And this will impact our economy as well. The problem was back in 20th century. In 20th century, economists, they used to take health as a sort of expense. They used to take it as unavoidable expense. But later on, so many countries, they became a bit more enlightened, or they got more knowledge about this thing, that health is not an expense. It is basically an investment. If you invest in your people's health, then your people will become more productive. And it's very simple. It's basically a bi-directional relationship. If your people are healthy, if your population is healthy, your national income growth is going to go up as well. Just imagine a family where, let's take example of two families, right? In one family, both families, you have 5 members, right? In both families. Now just imagine in this family, right? All 5 members are super healthy. They visit gym. They have no diseases at all. And here you have 5 members. All of them have various different diseases. Someone is suffering from obesity. Someone is suffering from heart disease. Someone is suffering from sugar. Someone is suffering from some sort of allergies and other things. What do you think? Whose income is going to be more? Whose expenses are going to be less? Whose family is going to, in long run, right? Whose family is going to be more productive? Of course, this family, because this is healthy. Same thing applies with a country as well. A poor in our country, the problem is that malnutrition and other things, you find these things in poor families. So already they are poor and they have to expand. Now, because of malnutrition, their kids cannot perform that well in their schools. Overall, physically, they are weak. They have to spend more money. They are less educated. So less chances of getting good jobs. So this is a sort of vicious cycle. So we have to invest more in our health system. There are so many reports as well supporting it. WHO Commission on Macroeconomics and Health. Then you have Investing in Health, a report of 1993-2013. Then we have UN High Level Commission. President of France and South Africa, they created a report in 2016. Then we have countries like, there are so many other countries like Japan, Costa Rica, USA is there, UK is there. There are so many countries. We were talking about UK a few days ago. Remember that during wartime as well, in World War II, less people were dying in UK apart from this war. I'm not saying that no one died in UK because of war, but I'm saying that after war, when you have poverty and other things, less people were dying because an NHS, that is National Health Service, was already introduced in UK. So India in particular stands to gain greatly by investing in health, especially health beyond illness care, being a bit more proactive. We can create more doctors, right, and we can create more material resources, medicines, PPE kits, medical devices and other things. And once our domestic needs are met, we can supply these things to a global market as well. For that, we need innovative health technologies and inexpensive pharmaceutical products. We have to achieve this scale. We have to produce these things in masses, for masses, and for that we need big factories, big small factories. We need this whole chain. We need this whole culture of taking health or looking at health from more proactive angle. And history teaches us about this. I already gave you examples of so many countries. You have Japan, UK, right? These are the countries they have invested in health for a very long period of time, and you can see these countries, they are very productive. Moving on to next item, it is again about medical field, backing the angels with white coats. Never since the World War or Second World War have we seen the size, scale and human impact of this lockdown. That means this lockdown is, the last time we saw this big impact was the Second World War. After that, this is the biggest thing that has ever happened to us. And we have never seen this sort of health crisis, economical crisis in our lifetimes, isn't it? Indian hospitals and 60,000 nursing homes in private sector have looked after 68% of Indian healthcare needs so far. I'm not sure how many of you are aware about this thing, but we are a country where we attract, medical tourism. We earn huge amount of money, and we have so many visitors coming from somewhere around 145 countries. Patients, they come here to get treatment because cost is nearly 1/10 of international costs in our country. Professional services that you get here, of course, in private hospitals, but the same thing we can create for public healthcare, and we have to, right? We don't have any choice, because on one side we have poor people, on the other side we have diseases going up. And private healthcare is something that not everyone can afford in our country. Like, there are so many families, they are living above poverty line, but once they are struck by some sort of disease, or any family member is struck by a disease, right, spending 5-6 lakh rupees is very easy in multi-speciality hospitals. I'm sure you are aware about this thing. Around 1.4 million Indian doctors across the world and even more nurses are leading the fight against coronavirus. And the problem is that in our country we are struggling. The reason is, as I told you earlier on as well, we have to create a package. We have to, now brain drain took place. Now we have to think about brain gain and create more doctors and nurses over here. With them, we have to create more PPEs, medicines and technology. For that, we need flexibility, we need resources, and we need knowledge. As far as flexibility, resources and knowledge is concerned, this article is suggesting 3 things. The first one is that government should get rid of GST. When I say GST, I'm talking about this, all those services and goods that are associated with hospital. It should attract a 0 GST rate. Then hospitals need liquidity. More money should be given to hospitals, and we need to create let's say PPE, or you can attract, or you can ask more NGOs to create hospitals in our country. Then This article is also suggesting that we can create a fund, a 3-year fund that will enable sustainability of the sector and fortify the system from any such future outbreak and offer subvention of interest so we can see more hospitals. So these are the things that are suggested in this article, 3 things that are suggested in this article. And if we incentivize our healthcare institutions, then we can create a healthy society. So enough about health. Now let's talk about something different. This one is about defense. Now, as we all know that India is or used to be one of the leading importers of arms in the world. We used to import some 12% of global arms. At present, we are importing somewhere around 9% of global imports of defense items. We are not at number 1 position anymore. That's a good thing. And the other thing is that another country has increased its purchases, and this is the reason why we are not at number 1. So in 2018-19, a country has clocked number 1. So can you give me the name of that particular country in the comment section? Stick your answer in the comment section. Now, depending on someone else for weapons, for spare parts, and for ammunition is a vulnerability. It can be exploited. I'll give you one example, quick example. Back in 1999, during this Kargil war, do you know that USA stopped the service of GPS for our country? Right, so just imagine your fighter planes. You cannot operate them smoothly without GPS. Same thing happened with Iraq as well. When USA invaded Iraq, at that point of time, USA messed up with their GPS, because GPS is something that is produced by USA. So it messed up its GPS, and what happened was that Air Force of Iraq was bombarding its own army and its own assets because of this messed up GPS. So this is just one example of vulnerability. You cannot rely on someone else, and COVID-19 has created this awareness that not just about defense but other products as well, like medicines, when it comes to PPEs and other essential items, you have to create them within your country. And defense products too, we have to create within our country. A good thing is that we have Defense Procurement Procedure 2020, and we have now a Chief of Defense Staff as well. So promoting indigenous equipment is going to be much more easier for all our services. And we have a very robust private defense manufacturers as well. They are small in size, but their technological skills, quality commitments are quite often better appreciated by foreign clients for whom they are subcontractors. So it's not that we don't have knowledge, it's not that we don't have any experience, we do have it, but still this thing is missing. I think we are missing this defense equipment universities and colleges. A dedicated course can be catered for those people who are interested, like defense engineering and weapon engineering and things like that. We can have those things. These institutions can be run by our defense institutions or under the leadership of our defense institutions. Then we need to create this golden triangle as well, where we have our local industries, education institutions, and defense ministries, and government side. Then we have private institutions, and then we have college side. Right, new fresh talent should be the supply of fresh talent should be perennial for our development. We have to create this culture. This Ordnance Factory Board is another long overdue reform that we need, right? We have to make ourselves self-reliant in this ordnance, basically means arms and ammunitions. And over the past 5 years, the Indian government has approved over 200 defense acquisition proposals valued at over 4 trillion rupees, but most are still in relatively early stages of processing. The problem is that it takes ages in our country. Right, this is the big problem. So we need to speed up things, and I think we need to reform our system as well. Rather than having an IAS officer, a defense secretary, we need to have someone from defense background. This will make a change. And all these new contracts, like let's say if you're buying a gun from someone else, right, then make sure that your arms and ammunitions, like your ammunitions, right, are made in our country. Same thing goes with your ships, or if you're buying an aircraft or something, or an artillery gun, then its repair, maintenance, and other things should be set up in our country. Moving on to last item of the day, China better prepared for the post-COVID-19 world, and this is true as well. We think that China is going to be weak now, but the reality is that China is helping so many countries around the world, and USA is of course trying to make USA would like to see China a weaker China after post COVID-19 world, but I think China is going to be as strong as it was, and it's going to be even more stronger. Now the thing is, a few weeks ago or before this whole COVID-19 episode, S. J. Shankar was talking at a platform, and he said that this national standing or this the thing that defines power is technology, connectivity, trade, and other things. But COVID-19 has changed that definition, right? Things are quite different now. Means what things used to be early on, now they are outdated in just a few weeks' time. So we need to think with a fresh mind, with a fresh thought. Already we were suffering from economic downside or downturn. Things were not that great in terms of money. Revenue was falling down, and remember that government was struggling with sharing GST compensation with the state governments at present as well. Central government's finances are not in the best health, and now we have to spend more for fighting COVID-19 and give stimulus package and other things. You have to uplift the whole economy. So things are going to be very difficult for our country. And the situation of migrant workers and other things. So without going too much deep into it, let's jump on to the main core of this article. The main thing is that China has been planning global dominance for a very long period of time. This was said back in 2017 as well. The 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, it talked about preeminence or superiority status of China in global order. And for that, China did so many things. China is, China's BRI project is going on, and BRI is about people to people, infrastructure, trade, policy and compass. It's not just military terms, but from various different angles. If you see, China is, holistic way, China is expanding in each and every. It is basically, it's like a big tree that is growing, growing each and every branches. It is spreading wide. That's what China is doing. China has also created this China Standards 2035. This is a plan to set new standards with regard to industrial Internet of Things and define next generation information technology and biotechnology standards. So it will provide China a clear advantage. And it is also reaping benefits of early bird. Early bird basically means that China was the first one to enter into this COVID-19 lockdown and things, and it's the first one to come out of it as well. So at present, China's factories are working at 100% capacity. I'll give you one example of automobile, and you will understand this whole thing, this early bird thing. Mahindra, then we have Tata and other Indian companies. They used to supply vehicles to various different private as well as this commercial vehicles to various different countries. Now, because our country was in lockdown, these companies were in lockdown, we were not able to supply items to this various different countries which were not or partially under lockdown. So what China did, Chinese companies are now, they have from last few weeks, they are supplying things to where. So they are taking over various different markets around the world, not just Indian markets, but other countries' markets, because they are getting this benefit of, they are the first one to come out of this whole COVID-19 episode. So this is basically early bird advantage. And these are a few news items, dear friends. We are totally out of time now, so please go through it. I have already shared the PDF of today's lecture in today's PDF in my Telegram channel, so help yourself with it. I'll see you with daily financial news analysis. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.